Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Phyllis is furious after Nick's revelation, and Mariah makes an incredibly shocking admission. Tessa sings and Daniel plays guitar at the park. Daniel is shocked when it's over because they wrote it. How did that occur? Sometimes, she says, the connection and timing are just right. They can't keep it to themselves. The Tessa Daniel sings. Who should we play our song for first? Tessa insists. Tessa believes it should be their wedding present to Danny and Christine after Daniel brings up the wedding. Although Daniel is a little alarmed by the thought, they continue to praise one another until he notes that Tessa transformed their song into something lovely. Like you. The Tessa Daniel. Mariah shows just as Tessa is telling Daniel how much she appreciates the compliment. Are you okay? Asks Tessa. Daniel leaves as Mariah requests to talk to her estranged wife alone. Mariah observes that they are approaching. I need friends right now, Tessa yells. She can tell Mariah is worn out. The redhead acknowledges that she is a mess and has been experiencing mental turmoil. She believes she must do better. Daniel, Mariah, Tessa. Tessa is perplexed when Mariah clarifies that she must leave for a short while. According to Mariah, her therapist suggested a Boston center for extensive treatment. Tessa laments that Aria senses her retreating when she sobs. Mariah believes that their daughter shouldn't see her in this state since she is a complete wreck. Mariah's explanation that she will be gone for as long as it takes makes it obvious that the narrative twist is intended to give Tessa and Daniel some time to connect. Tessa Mariah. Will Kyle and Claire get back on track? Claire berates Kyle for deceiving her on the patio of Crimson Lights. She wants to know everything about her grandfather's agreement. Kyle sits down and tells Victor how he made him an offer he couldn't turn down. He promised in writing that he would give him $5 million and depart Genoa City if he did anything to harm or betray her. Claire is appropriately astonished. Claire. After giving it some thought, Claire concludes that she is annoyed because he attached a value to their connection. Kyle argues that he would do anything for her and that he was desperate to get Victor off their backs. Claire understands that he might have remained silent about Audra's situation in order to protect himself. He might have lost $5 million if he had told the truth. Claire. Kyle disputes that he considered the contract. The money doesn't matter to him. Claire concludes that she can understand his actions in France, but she doubts he would inform her if more had occurred. Kyle complains that Claire doesn't trust him and asks if he can do anything to change it. Claire is unable to respond to that. She can't let things go at this moment and needs time. Will Phyllis support Nick? Nick and Phyllis meet up at the Overlook, where they joke that he wants to leave her alone. Nick finally gets down to business, saying that in order to keep her out of jail, he needs her to tell him exactly what Kane has requested her to do for him. He asks her a lot of questions and speculates that Ashby asked her to research artificial intelligence. She is stopped in her tracks by this. Phyllis. Nick acknowledges that he has offended her and maintains that he is attempting to assist her. According to Phyllis, he is attempting to protect his father. Nick yells at her to break off contact with this man right away. She's going in the wrong direction with Kane. Nick tells her about Kane's AI program and how he intends to use it to rob Chancellor, Jabot, and Newman of their legitimate owners. Phyllis laughs. I've never seen Kane cackling or wearing a long lab coat. Nick tells her that this will land her in jail for at least 10 years. He won't let her go to prison since he knows she's still dealing with the fallout from what occurred with Martin Laurent. Phyllis is adamant that she hasn't yet helped Kane. Nick. Phyllis promises her ex-husband that she will never do anything to separate from her children. Nick wants to know whether there is a place where the software has previously been installed. They have to stop Kane, and this may be their only opportunity. Phyllis tells Nick that he hasn't invested in any of the firms yet. Everything is on hold due to his conflict with his children. She is upset that Kane was ready to jeopardize her future. Nick is concerned that he merely wants her to accept that. She tells him that Ashby is hurting. Phyllis informs Nick that she would have bowed out right away if Kane had given her an explanation of this nuclear AI option. She wants her abilities to be respected and acknowledged, but not at the expense of that. Nick tells his ex that he needs her to help preserve Genoa City while wearing his invisible cloak. Phyllis consents to update him on Kane's situation. He gives her a cheek kiss and walks away. Phyllis hisses, "You son of a bitch," and calls Kane right away. "What were you putting me into? And why didn't you tell me?" Phyllis's phone. What takes place in the last scenes? Claire and Kyle argue inside Crimson Lights over whether Kyle ought to attend Billy's launch party this evening. He does not wish to encounter Audra. Claire tells him she wants to think they can overcome this, and they declare their love for one another. She leaves after saying that. Mariah tells Tessa in the park that she has every right to be upset with her. Tessa explodes, saying she hasn't checked in on her because she has been so preoccupied with maintaining her dark secret. Her therapist now advises her to flee from them. They were each other's everything once. She is unable to comprehend what she'd done that was so terrible that she was prepared to end their relationship. "Why don't you just believe me?" she erupts. Tessa Mariah. Mariah chooses to speak open about what happened after Tessa continues to scream. She shakily builds to the moment when she blurts, "I tried to kill a man." Tessa shivers. Phyllis is furious after Nick's revelation, and the fury that coils in her chest feels hotter than fire itself, because the last thing she ever expected was for her ex-husband, the father of her children, to come to her with the kind of information that not only undercut her professional pride but also forced her to face the reality that she may have been walking blindly into a trap carefully laid out by Kane Ashby. And as Nick's words sink deeper and deeper into her psyche, she can't help but feel betrayed, not just by Kane, but by herself for even entertaining his partnership in the first place. And though she tries to brush off Nick's claims with her trademark sarcasm and biting wit, insisting that she's not the type to be duped by some grand AI scheme that sounds more like a comic book villain's plot than something rooted in real corporate warfare, the truth is that Nick has planted a seed of doubt in her that gnaws at her relentlessly. Because for all her bluster, Phyllis knows Nick doesn't exaggerate when it comes to protecting family, and if he's warning her this strongly, it means the danger is real. Yet at the same time she hates with every fiber of her being, that he assumes she needs saving, that he thinks she can't handle herself, that he looks at her as though she's on the brink of collapsing into old destructive patterns she's worked so hard to claw her way out of. So when he demands that she cut off Kane immediately, when he insists that she give him every detail about what she's been asked to do, she snaps that he's not trying to protect her, he's trying to shield his father's empire, and she throws in his face that the Newmans always close ranks around Victor while expecting everyone else to fall into line. But Nick refuses to let her deflection work this time and raises his voice, telling her point blank that Kane's so-called AI project isn't some harmless tech innovation but a dangerous system designed to strip Chancellor, Jabot, and even Newman Enterprises from their rightful owners. And he swears that if Phyllis goes any further with Kane, she'll be signing her own prison sentence, reminding her of the last time she got tangled up in a scheme that spiraled out of control with Martin Laurent, a ghost she would rather bury forever but one that Nick cruelly resurrects in order to drive his point home. And though she spits back that she hasn't helped Kane yet and would never put herself in a position that would separate her from her children again, Nick presses harder, asking if there's already a place where Kane has installed the software, pushing her to think past her ego and recognize the peril. And in that tense moment, Phyllis feels cornered in a way that only fuels her rage, because deep down she knows he's right but she will not give him the satisfaction of saying it. So instead she swears that Kane hasn't invested in any of the companies yet, that everything is stalled thanks to his family conflicts, and she tries to convince herself as much as she's trying to convince Nick that she still has a chance to pull back before it's too late. But Nick, sensing the crack in her armor, softens slightly and tells her that Genoa City needs her on the right side of this fight, that she's too smart to let Kane use her, that she could be the one to help stop him, and with that he kisses her cheek before walking away, leaving Phyllis trembling with a mix of indignation, wounded pride, and unresolved affection for a man who still somehow knows how to get under her skin better than anyone else. And as soon as he's gone, she clenches her phone in her fist, dials Kane with shaking fingers, and hisses into the receiver, "What the hell did you put me into? And why didn't you tell me everything?" Her fury spilling out unchecked as her eyes flash with the realization that she may have just been made a pawn in a much bigger game than she ever signed up for, setting the stage for yet another war between her reckless ambition and her desperate need for redemption. A war that will no doubt leave collateral damage in its wake. Meanwhile, at the park, the mood could not be more different as Tessa sings with the kind of raw emotion that seems to pour straight out of her soul, her voice carrying across the late summer air while Daniel strums his guitar beside her. And when the final note fades into silence, Daniel stares at her with disbelief. Because he knows the melody, he knows the chords, and he knows he never shared them with her. So how is it that they just created something that already existed in both their hearts? And as he blurts out his shock, Tessa just smiles knowingly and tells him that sometimes the connection and timing are just right, that sometimes the universe conspires to bring two people together in a moment of perfect harmony, and she insists they can't keep this song to themselves because it feels bigger than them, a gift meant to be shared. And when Daniel shyly suggests maybe they could play it for his father Danny and Christine as a wedding present, Tessa's face lights up with conviction, though Daniel feels a flicker of unease at how quickly she embraces the idea, as though this duet has already carved out a space in her heart that belongs to him. But before he can second-guess himself, Tessa is already praising him, telling him that he transformed their song into something beautiful, just like you. Words that linger in the air long enough to draw a blush from Daniel before Mariah suddenly appears, her expression etched with exhaustion and pain. And though Tessa immediately asks if she's okay, sensing the weight pressing down on her wife's shoulders, Mariah's tone is brittle as she requests to speak alone, forcing Daniel to make a quiet exit even as his eyes flicker with concern, leaving the two women facing each other with years of love, trust, and shared history between them, but also an invisible chasm that has grown wider with each passing day. And when Mariah finally breaks the silence, she admits that she's a mess, that she's been spiraling mentally, that she's tried to hold it together for Tessa and for their daughter Aria, but she can't pretend anymore. And as tears brim in her eyes, she confesses that her therapist has recommended she leave town for a while, to enter an intensive program in Boston, words that slam into Tessa like a physical blow because in all her worst nightmares she never imagined Mariah choosing to walk away, even temporarily, from their family, and she begs her wife to reconsider, to see that Aria already senses her pulling away, that running will only make things worse. But Mariah is adamant that their daughter shouldn't see her like this, that she is too broken right now to be the mother Aria deserves, and though she promises it won't be forever, that she will return once she's strong enough, the implication that she will be gone as long as it takes feels like a betrayal to Tessa, who can't stop the ache of abandonment from swelling in her chest, an ache that only grows when Mariah says she needs time, needs space, needs to heal away from them, and Tessa can't shake the gnawing suspicion that the writers are deliberately pulling them apart to explore the chemistry that has unexpectedly sparked between her and Daniel, a thought that terrifies her even as she struggles to cling to the belief that love will carry her and Mariah through this storm, unaware that the worst revelation is yet to come, because when Tessa finally lashes out, demanding to know why Mariah can't just believe in them, Mariah, trembling and near collapse, blurts out the truth that she's been holding back, the secret that has been eating her alive. I tried to kill a man. Words that hang heavy in the air and shatter everything Tessa thought she knew about the woman she married. A confession so shocking that even the night itself seems to freeze in response, setting off a ripple effect that could change everything for them moving forward. Elsewhere, at Crimson Lights, another couple teeters on the brink of collapse as Claire confronts Kyle on the patio, her voice sharp with betrayal as she demands to know every detail of the secret deal he made with her grandfather. And though Kyle tries to rationalize, explaining that Victor cornered him with an offer he couldn't refuse, $5 million in exchange for staying away from Claire if he ever hurt her, his words only make things worse, because to Claire it feels as though he has reduced their love to a dollar amount, cheapened their bond with a contract that should never have existed. And though Kyle insists the money means nothing to him, that he only agreed in desperation to protect what they had from Victor's interference, she can't shake the suspicion that he may have kept quiet about other things too, especially when it came to Audra. And though Kyle swears he never thought about the money, that trust and love are the only things that matter to him, Claire's voice cracks as she admits she's not sure she can ever fully believe him again, that while she wants to think they can overcome this, right now she needs space, a pause in the storm to figure out if their foundation can withstand yet another blow, leaving Kyle gutted as she walks away, whispering words of love that sound more like a farewell than a promise. As all of these storylines spiral toward collision, the question becomes not just who will find redemption and who will be consumed by their secrets, but how much destruction will be left in the aftermath, and whether Genoa City is ready for the confessions, betrayals, and choices that will come to define the lives of its residents in ways none of them can possibly predict. Mariah's words fall into the silence of the park like a thunderclap, the kind of admission that can never be taken back, the kind of truth that severs the air between two people and changes the course of everything they thought they knew. And for a long, unbearable moment Tessa just stares at her wife, lips parted, eyes wide, struggling to process the enormity of what she just heard, because though she knew Mariah was hiding something, though she knew the therapy sessions and the sudden emotional retreats meant there was a dark undercurrent threatening to swallow her wife whole, she never imagined it would be this, never imagined that the woman she loves with her entire being could be carrying the guilt of attempted murder on her shoulders. And when she finally finds her voice it cracks with disbelief as she whispers, "What do you mean, you tried to kill a man?" But Mariah can't even look at her, her hands shaking violently as she twists them together, her breathing shallow as though dragging each word out is equal parts confession and punishment, and she mutters that it wasn't planned, that it wasn't something she woke up intending to do, but it happened in a moment of desperation, of blinding fury, of feeling cornered and powerless, and though she doesn't give the man's name right away, she paints a picture of a night that still haunts her dreams, a night where she felt so betrayed, so backed into a corner, that the line between protecting herself and destroying someone else blurred beyond recognition. Tessa feels her stomach turn, because she knows enough about Mariah's past to understand she has lived in shadows, that she's made mistakes, but this is a wound that cuts deeper than any she has seen before. And as much as she wants to rush forward, to wrap Mariah in her arms and tell her they'll get through this together, there's another part of her, a quieter, more fearful voice inside, that whispers maybe this is something she can't fix, maybe this is a truth too big for their love to conquer, and that terrifies her. Because Tessa has always believed in them, believed they were the exception, the couple who could weather anything, but now she's not so sure. She asks haltingly who the man was, her voice trembling, and when Mariah finally forces the name out, someone connected to a secret from years ago, someone who had threatened to expose her mother Sharon in a way that could have destroyed their family, it all begins to make a terrible kind of sense, the layers of loyalty and fear and rage colliding until she lashed out with the intent, however fleeting, to end him. Tessa recoils, because this isn't just about Mariah anymore, this is about the Newman-Weber family legacy, the tangle of secrets she's only brushed against before, and suddenly she realizes just how heavy the burden Mariah has been carrying truly is, not just the act itself but the constant fear that if the truth comes out it won't just destroy her but ripple outward to Sharon, Faith, even Aria, and the thought makes Tessa's heart ache, because she sees now that her wife's decision to leave for Boston isn't about running away from her or their daughter, it's about shielding them from the fallout of a secret she believes is uncontainable, a ticking bomb waiting to detonate. But Tessa can't accept that. She shouts through her tears that leaving isn't the answer, that honesty between them is the only way forward, that they promised never to keep secrets, and though her voice shakes with fury and heartbreak, there's love in it too, a desperate plea not to let this confession be the thing that breaks them for good. Mariah, however, is spiraling. She insists that no one can understand, that if the truth spreads she could lose everything, not just her family but her freedom, that this isn't about shame or pride anymore but about survival. And though she knows Tessa deserves the truth she can't promise she'll stay, not when she's convinced her presence only brings danger and disappointment. And as she crumbles under the weight of her own guilt Tessa feels her own foundation cracking, because how do you fight for someone who doesn't want to fight for themselves? How do you anchor someone who insists on drifting away? At the same time, across town, Phyllis is pacing like a caged animal in her suite, phone clutched to her ear as Kane's smooth, practiced voice finally answers, and the sound of his calm tone only ignites her fury further, because he dares to act as though nothing is wrong, as though he hasn't just set her up to be the fall guy in a corporate con so elaborate it could take down half of Genoa City's elite, and she explodes, demanding answers. Demanding to know why he didn't tell her about the nuclear-scale implications of his AI project, why he let her think she was dipping her toe into innovation when in reality she was wading into fraud, theft, and potential federal charges, and Kane, slippery as ever, tries to soothe her with promises that this is all under control, that she's overreacting, that Nick Newman is only trying to manipulate her. But Phyllis has been around too long, played too many games, to buy into his easy charm anymore. And she snarls that if he ever truly respected her, if he ever truly valued her abilities, he wouldn't have kept her in the dark, wouldn't have treated her like a pawn. And when Kane tries to remind her of the payout, of the power they could seize together, she cuts him off cold, telling him she doesn't care about the money, she cares about not losing her children, her reputation, her very freedom. And the more he pushes the more resolved she becomes that if he won't come clean, She'll take matters into her own hands, even if that means risking everything to turn the tables on him before he has the chance to destroy her life.